G'day, folks, and welcome to another live stream podcast. Great to have you with me. I hope this thing's working this time. I had a bit of an error there at the start there with this warm up there. There's supposed to be music with that, but I hope it's all coming through good. But anyway, guys, look, welcome to the show again. It's great having us back again tonight. If you weren't in there for last night's show, go and check it out. It's available on the YouTube channel there. Go and check that out there. Absolute awesome experience there. It was absolutely wonderful there with Brian joining us, and yeah, it's going to be another awesome night here I've got Mick with me tonight. But yeah, guys, before we get started, send a share out, like this podcast, or like this video there, help it get out there, share it wherever you got friends, family, wherever you think is relevant, and be sure to go and subscribe to the YouTube channel there and hit that little notification bell, and that way you can be notified of when we are going live and such, or when there's a new video out. But otherwise, yeah, look, I think we'll get straight into it and get right stuck into this. And instead of wasting time, and I hate, you know how I hate blabbering on, but anyway, we'll get into it. I'm starting to warm up here and I'm starting to lose it. But anyway, we'll get into it. Right, so I got Mick here. Mick, welcome to the show, mate.
How are you, mate?
Going good, mate. It's great to have you on.
Thank
Now,
you.
you've had some ripper experiences there, mate. Like, it's gone pretty much like what you're saying, like from quite a young age there. And
Yes,
it's just
yeah.
been an interesting sort of life, I guess, as so to mention. So, mate, like, tell us all about it.
Mate, I think the first experience I could probably tell you about in detail is probably when I was about 5 or 6 years of age, primary school. Had the mumps and was kept home from school. And as you do on the mumps, sit there watching telly, laying on the lounge, and just had this urge to get up and walk out the front. We were in a Queenslander, had the big veranda all the way around it. And yeah, we walked. We lived across the road from railway line, so it was quite busy and noisy at times. But just something urged me just to go out the front and have a look out in the sky. And up towards my right, it was cloudy. It was an overcast day. I just spotted this light. Looked like what I thought would be, a landing light on a plane or a little Cessna or something like that. And I just sort of, it caught my eye. I watched it for a little while and it just disappeared. Fractions of a minute later, it's appeared again in a different position. And it continually just jumped around doing this in the clouds for easily a good 10 minutes or so. The only one home was my grandmother. And no urge to jump up and down or be excited about it. It was just a matter of, oh yeah, oh, there's a light. There's a light jumping around in the sky. He didn't really think much of it at that age. Just took it in my stride, went back in and laid down, and didn't think much more of it. So that was the first experience.
So, any specific sort of shape to it, or was it just a strange light, like nothing that was sort of really resemble anything?
It was literally like a pinpoint of light. Wasn't within the clouds. It was just on the face of the clouds. So it wasn't hidden by the clouds. It was just jumping around on the face of the clouds.
Yeah, that's incredible because I've always heard of these UFOs sort of doing like a bit of a zigzaggy sort of maneuvers, and that sort of nature.
No visible movement in between. Just there and gone and there again. There and gone and there again. There was no rhyme or reason to it, up or down, sideways. Yeah. Now that I think about it, makes me wonder if it was more than one, but never seen more than one light at one time. So, just took it as one.
Yeah, fair enough. So, did you sort of like get a bit of an idea, like this could have been something that was a bit unearthly at the time? Like, what was your sort of thoughts that you can remember?
No, not at all. Didn't strike me as strange. Didn't strike me as odd. Didn't excite me to the point where I would sang out to my grandmother or ran inside telling her about it. No, nothing at all. If anything, a sense of calm, really.
Fair enough. But I suppose, like, then again, you're only young then too, so there's nothing really to, you could be thinking, yeah, like imagination or something like that. You just very blasé, I suppose.
A little bit of back history. We grew up on a remote farm, and growing up as an infant on the farm, and that later on in life, my mother and grandmother would tell us about similar lights, and I guess with some Indigenous background, what they classed as min lights on the farm, and I guess maybe growing up with those stories, seeing this light bouncing around in the sky probably just didn't surprise me as much as it probably should, I guess.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting because like that would be actually awesome. Like, if you're willing to open up about these stories from your family there with regards to the Min Min lights.
Yeah, funny, and it only ever come from the females. The males never ever spoke.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it only ever come from my mother and my grandmother.
Is there a reason behind that, or is it just something that they sort of like?
I think it's just probably that old Aussie male thing.
Yep. Fair enough. No, that's awesome. That's yeah, I'd love to go and get some more stories about Min Min lights because they're very intriguing because it
They
sort of
are.
makes you wonder, or like, are they a natural paranormal sort of entity on this earth, or is it something that's introduced to the earth, or like what's the go
Yeah,
there? Because like, I don't know, there's stories of them from thousands of years ago in
yeah, and
regards to these things. It
of
makes you wonder.
a lot of the American stuff they talk about swamp gas, and over here I think the scientists try and write it off as atmospheric anomalies, and it's definitely a phenomena. But yeah, as to what it is,
Yeah,
and
I can sort of
everything
understand where they're coming
correlates.
from when it comes to like atmospheric distortions and stuff like that. But then you got stories there where people are saying that these things come across as intelligent. They've got their own consciousness and doing their own things, like going their own directions, and they
Absolutely,
got some sort of purpose in their actions. And it's like,
yeah,
well, that sort of rules out atmospheric distortions.
absolutely, definitely.
So tell me about these
Yeah.
other ones you sort of come across with.
Well, the next one probably been about 3 years later, I guess. That would have been around Christmas time. Had some cousins up staying for Christmas, and the elder cousin Wayne, God bless him, he no longer with us, passed away a couple of years ago in a bit of a tragic accident.
Sorry to hear.
We were in a just in a park, just playing. It was a pretty basic old park, had the steel merry-go-round and the old steel bloody slippery dip. We stayed a little bit later, probably than we should have. Become dark, and we were just sitting on the park bench, just chatting away about Christmas and what we were getting for Christmas and everything. And the first thing that struck us was the silence. The cicadas, everything just went dead silent, just like someone turned off a switch. And we sort of both sort of questioned it, like, wow, that's weird. Like everything's just turned off, like completely. Street lights went out that were in beside us and in the park, and that's when we heard what what I could only describe as a hum that come through the power lines. Um, that hear them every now and then humming away, but this was a definite change in frequency and I guess loudness. It become louder. So that made us look up at the power lines that were running along the street, and that's when we noticed the stars just disappearing, completely disappearing, gone. There was just stars there, and next minute there's no stars, and that's when we noticed this massive, and it was massive. I'm talking easily a length of a football field or more long, and at least half that wide, and it had no definitive shape, but you could tell it was triangular in shape because of the loss of the stars. And no, nothing you could see on it that you could go, oh look, that's a panel, or that's a side, or that's a window, or that's a light, or it was nothing. It was completely black, totally black, and it moved so slowly. It was ridiculous, like walking pace. And that just literally followed along the power lines, and we watched it come and we watched it go, and we never ever spoke about it again. And we never went home and told our parents or our grandparents. And yeah, that's just lived with us. Definitely lived with Wayne until he passed, and still lives to me to this day. And there's no question that there was an object there. There was no propulsion. You couldn't see any flames. There was no motor. You couldn't hear any engine running. It was just a massive, massive, big triangular shape that was just passing through slowly.
That's incredible. Like just the sheer size of this thing and the way, like, it must have been Like, do you think it was quite high up still, or reasonably
No,
low in comparison to the size?
honest, honestly, to think about it now, I would say it was within 100 feet of us
Yeah.
that
Okay.
were on
Wow.
the power lines. It was quite low. Whether it was following the train track power lines or whether it was following the power lines along the road, I couldn't say, but it was definitely following the path of the power lines and the road that was running past the park.
Yeah. Okay. So, what year was this? Like, if you can remember at all, like, roughly what year?
I would have been probably around 7 or 8 years of age. So I'm 52 now.
So, what, like, 45 years ago,
Yeah, yeah, around about
give or
that.
take.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what would that be working out now? That'd be what?
I'll, t-
Jeez.
um, I'll tell you, my older cousin Wayne could play a little bit of guitar, and he was impressed in showing me that he could play a little bit of Convoy, and that was the movie that had just come out.
Right. I'm not sure what the movie The Convoy is.
Haven't you seen? Oh well, you've got it, mate. You've got to mark that out.
I've got a few movies to go catch up on. I don't watch a lot of TV, but everyone's like, "Oh, you gotta go watch this." Like, "Oh, I'll try and get to it one day." So I'm just trying to work it roughly what year that was.
I'm thinking 78, 79, something like that.
Okay,
I'm sure it was
we'll go
before
with
80. I'm sure it was before 81 anyway. I'm sure someone can Google when Convoy come out.
that. Yep,
Someone's
for
seen
sure.
it.
No, that's incredible. I've heard of people like they've side these triangular crafts and that, and they say they're massive as it is. But
Yeah,
usually a
and
lot of them
even
seem they have like they got lights on each corner of the craft, and usually a red light in the middle in the center.
no, this was definitely, and it certainly wasn't shiny. It showed no shine, but it was definitely just dead black. No lighting, no windows we could see, no nothing. It looked to have a bit of depth. It looked to have a bit of height to it, but overall, just awe-inspiring size of it and the width of it was massive. It was massive.
Yeah, that's wow. That would have been absolutely incredible. Thank you there, Michelle. 1978, she says it's come out, so around that
Thank,
year.
thank you.
So, what like did you guys talk about it between each other, like about this whole thing and like what it could have been? Like, did you just really
Yeah, we,
questioning?
we we spoke about it there and then on the bench. I remember, we excitedly giggling and going, "Wow!" Like, what did we just see? What was that? That was amazing! Like, unreal. Why did the cicadas go quiet? Why was this? Why was that? We were full of questions, but we walked 50 meters back to the house and never mentioned it again.
Yeah, it's like well, not even years later. Or like, why? Why
Never.
do you think that it's just what the taboo talk, or it's just something that just never sort of came up at the time?
No, we had a pretty bad incident on the farm where my cousin was living with my younger brother who nearly passed away in a sugarcane fire. Um, so we lost a bit of contact over that. There was a bit of family conflict over what happened to my brother. And praise to Wayne because Wayne at the tender age of something like 12 jumped on a massive tractor full of big loaded tanks of diesel on the back and pushed all the fire down around him and actually got my little brother out at that age in a roaring sugarcane fire. So Wayne's a bit of a hero of our family, but yeah, the rest of the family we had a bit of a falling out.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, well, thanks to Wayne there, mate. That's yeah, that's
Yeah,
absolutely
and
awesome. Yeah,
it seems to be a bit of a trend too. I've noticed listening to podcasts and other things is people that experience these things together tend to drift apart. I guess.
yeah, I
I
suppose
don't
so.
know.
I've sort of found like maybe a little bit drawing people together a little bit, but I just know that like it is always like people who have experienced something together. They don't talk about it for a long time, and then some people forget about it until it sort of gets brought back up again, and then
No,
it might get remembered a little
and
differently.
I think partially that's part of the reason why I've probably reached out. Losing Wayne so suddenly and what's happened with me in the last 12 months definitely made me question why I'm keeping quiet. And I guess the other thing is too is the biggest struggle is trying to remember everything that happened at the same time. The memories drift and come and go, and you'll be there and you go, oh wow, I remember that happening now, and but you all of a sudden you'll forget about the other couple of things that may have happened. So
Yeah.
I've started to make notes. I've started to just jot down little things to just have everything there in front of me, because that's one of the hard things, is trying to, I guess, not get carried away on one thing and then you forget about some of the others.
Yeah, it is a bit like that because I've heard a lot of stories there. Like you're saying, like one person will remember something there that's quite vital to the whole encounter, and
Mm.
yeah, the other person will remember some sort of other detail, and you put them together, like, oh yeah, okay, now massive jolt in memory. It sort of makes you wonder, like something so phenomenal and something that should be unforgettable as an experience there, but yet we still forget those great details. And it's
Yeah,
strange how something like can happen.
it is odd. It is odd, and how they come and go. It's different. But yeah, that was definitely something that will live with me till the day I die. Is that thing, and the way it was just swallowing up the stars, like that was the thing that caught us. It wasn't the object; it was the disappearing of the stars. It was like, what is happening there? And then you take in what's there, and you're like, holy shit, what is that?
Yeah, oh, it's incredible. We've got M here saying like some call it alien apathy, maybe an effect of the sighting and the experience there. So yeah, it could be something like that, or your brain sort of goes into like a trauma in a sense and just represses the memories. I could be
Yeah,
something there.
there's there's
It's a
definitely
hard one to sort of
suppression.
pinpoint.
There is definitely some form of suppression there. Absolutely, whether it's our subconscious protecting us or
Yeah,
whatever. Definitely something there. Yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's absolutely amazing. Like to go and witness something like that. That's absolutely incredible. So look, let's move on to another one because I know you've got like, a fair few over the time here.
Yeah.
So
Next one would have been probably about 16 years of age, in a remote area, so no city lighting or anything like that. And I guess with earlier experiences and everything else, I was, I guess, interested in what was happening above us. So I used to do a lot of satellite watching, a lot of stargazing, I guess. And that was probably what I would class as the third. I wouldn't call it an experience, but definitely witnessed something that was not meant to be there. We were watching satellites. We'd seen a couple, and we watched this satellite pass across us. And it wouldn't have been 30 seconds later we seen a second satellite on the same path trajectory, and we were like, "Wow, check that out! Like, you don't see that. That's not something we've never seen before." It was definitely moving fast. The second object was moving faster than the first one. And just as it was moving to our left, it was sort of heading out of our vision. We were starting to lose vision with it. The second object reached the first object, stopped briefly, and then flew back at ridiculous speed in exactly the same trajectory in the opposite direction. So that was a bit of an eye opener. There was a few of us there. We were away camping. So yeah, that was something worth mentioning, because satellites don't change direction.
yeah, no, that's for sure. Like that's the amazing part. Like even just like the logic of watching a satellite stop is immediately going to catch your attention and go, all right, that's. But then again, I've also like you keep sitting there watching a satellite for ages there, and you think it's stopping or it's slowing down. That's just the effect
Mm,
of like is it's going over the horizon a little bit and it's getting further away and it's starting to look good. But the fact that it just
absolutely.
you can sort of like, if you've got references of stars and you can see it stop, and the
Well,
fact that it just turns and just goes back the other direction, that's
the,
like
the reference the
phenomenal.
reference was the first satellite.
Yeah,
That was the reference. That was, yeah. That it was still moving at a nice steady trajectory. Hadn't changed. But yeah, the thing that chased it up and stopped behind it. It was only briefly, but yeah, it turned around and just went exactly the same trajectory at a ridiculous amount of speed. And yeah, that just stopped us all dead. It was just like, what happened there? what did we just see there?
that would have been absolutely awesome to see that because I've seen some strange objects, not really strange in nature, but something that's questionable, but nothing in the sense that where it defies our capabilities in that nature. It's just I get quite jealous of people who've seen these sort of things, you know? It's like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I really wanna see something that's just, like, gonna blow my mind." Like, even, like, the things I've experienced, it's like, it's still quite amazing in my
yeah. And
regard.
look, I got to question whether there's a lot more people that have actually seen things but just put it out of their mind.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, without a doubt, there'll be so many people there that just, yeah, I just disregard it as being something strange. Yeah, okay, whatever, and just go on with
Yeah,
their life and don't think
yeah,
much more of it.
absolutely. Yeah,
So, but
and
no,
even
that's absolutely awesome.
even with groups of people, like it's never mentioned about in the group again. They don't have group chats about it. Maybe years and years later, but yeah, as it sort of happens, it's just like didn't happen. Did it happen? Didn't happen. Like,
Yeah.
it's gone. It's gone.
So, like, did it sort of, like, go straight across the from one side of the horizon, like, over the horizon, basically, or did it sort of, like, just disappear to a certain point and
Pretty well straight
vanish?
over the top of us. So we were laying down on I guess what you call a grassy mound, a little bit away from the campsite. So yeah, straight overhead, and yeah, that's when we caught the satellite. But yeah, this thing just come out of nowhere, followed it up, stopped, changed direction, and took the hell off out of there.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
Yeah, and
amazing.
I would have been about 16 then, so it would have been. I'd have to say I was definitely in the Hunter Valley, New South Wales.
Yeah, no, that's alright. And what, so you're gonna go 16 there, so we're probably about mid-80s, roughly.
Mm,
Yeah, we'll
yeah, and
go
that
with that.
sort of led me into a. I'm not sure why, but I guess I got into a bit of a reckless lifestyle, and sort of had a sense of no respect for authority because I kind of had a sense there was a bigger authority out there than the ones
Yep.
running around in police cars. So yeah, that was the sort of start of what I would say near death experiences and doing stupid things and putting myself at risk. And that continued right on until probably about 5 years ago, I guess. So yeah, but yeah, I guess the next experience it was a good one. That would have been probably about I would have been about 32. We're living at Lightning Ridge, doing a bit of mining and some farm work out there, and we were having a family barbecue with what at the time was to be my wife and her father, her brothers, her father's partner, myself, and of course my partner and a couple of other people from Lightning Ridge had attended. We're having a bit of a family barbecue in the backyard, and pretty sure it was the father-in-law. He mentioned it. He said, "Where do you reckon that plane's going?" And that sort of stopped a couple of us, and we've looked up and looked where he was looking, and as far as you could possibly imagine, as close to the horizon as you could possibly get, there was just once again what I would call a landing light, a really bright landing light coming directly at you. Like you can't mistake it when the plane's landing and you're in front of that light. They're
Mhm.
bright, and that's what this was like. But this was large. It wasn't a pinpoint like the first encounter with the clouds. This thing was large in the sky, and it was bright. There was no shape, no nothing. It was just light. And we sat there watching it, going, "Well, it might be the coming into Lightning Ridge to land, or it could be a military plane." And I think it was one of the brother-in-laws mentioned they were doing some seismic testing with some planes or something, and they were thinking about flying some of that stuff over there. So we just sort of started to lose interest in it a little bit. Barbecue was cooking, beers were on, having a bit of laugh. I remember my brother-in-law had a Siberian Husky in Lightning Ridge, for Christ's sake, as you can imagine. And this thing loved living in the esky. It'd just find an esky,
Yeah,
crack the lid open, and it would lay in the esky. And you couldn't blame it because, I mean,
yeah.
talk about taking something out of its
Yeah.
habitat.
The heat, jeez. Poor dog.
Yeah. So we were sort of losing interest in the light in the sky. It wasn't getting bigger or smaller or anything. It was was just like, oh yeah, it's definitely a plane. Like, you know, it's far enough away where the landing lights have merged into one, and we just started to lose interest in it, and it just dropped. It dropped to what you would call near ground level on the horizon, but it dropped like with force. It didn't just sort of glide down; it just dropped like a penny, and that got us. That all stopped everyone dead. Like, did anyone just notice what that light just did then? Like, that was, and as we were all taking notice of it, this thing on a 45-degree angle, probably from, you know, from where we were in Lightning Ridge, this thing would have been as far as bloody well Kenya or somewhere out there. This thing just took off on a 45-degree angle like a shot, just gone. There was a sense of movement, but you didn't see it move. You just sensed it go that direction, and it was gone.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, and once again, you know, group setting, that was not. No one jumped up and down. No one said we've got to record that. Did anyone get a photo? There was none of that. There was nothing. It was just, yeah, that just happened. No one could explain it. Move on.
Yeah, wow. So, like, when you first observed this thing, was it actually moving, or was it just stationary the
No,
whole time?
stationary, dead still, and it was that bright. It was almost like, oh, is that approaching? Like, is that a plane getting closer? But as we watched it, there was no sense of movement whatsoever. No sense of trajectory or movement of anything. It was just a bulb of light.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And
Because in my head, I'm like thinking, as you explain the story, I'm like thinking, well, could it have been Venus sitting on the horizon there, or could it have been like the space station you're seeing? Like, I don't know if it's been the space station. That's quite bright in its own regard,
yeah,
but
and look,
again, that
Lightning
moves.
Ridge,
And then it's like, but then the fact that you said it drops and then shot off is like, well, that rules that out.
yeah, and like the skies of Lightning Ridge, you know, I mean, you don't get many cloudy days.
Yeah.
Yeah, wet weather out there is a godsend. So yeah, it was a bright, cloudless day. Yeah, it was, and it was big. It was big and bright. There was no question. It would have been big.
Yeah, right. So,
This
what
is
do you sort of feel like the object could have been doing, like sitting there? Like, do you think they're scanning for something there, or there's something that's of interest out there?
honestly, I couldn't find anything on the map. By this stage, I was starting to get interested. So that's the first things I do. I tracked it even back to the first thing I tracked down. Well, if I was standing there on that veranda, what direction was that, and what's over in that direction? And it was, oh, that's Mount Tambourine, and so on and so on. But yeah, anything out there, it's semi-arid, it's desert, it's nothing. Probably good opal, but nothing of interest.
Yeah, right. So, whereabouts exactly is Lightning Ridge?
Say Queensland, New South Wales border,
Yeah, okay. So,
and head inland
right.
about 9 hours.
Yeah, right. So, oh, what's that bloody other Birdsville? Is it probably not far from there?
No, not quite that far, but St George, Bandy, around those places.
Yeah, right. So that's
Wet,
interesting.
yeah.
That is quite interesting. But yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Like, to even see again, like you're seeing something that just defies our capabilities again. Like, that's
Yeah,
to me
that's the thing.
mind blowing.
There's nothing that we've been told about that would move with the capabilities that these things have moved. There's just no way. You wouldn't survive it. You'd snap your neck,
Yeah.
literally. I think your bones would be sticking out your back.
Yeah.
It's
So I got Michelle
unbelievable.
here saying in the comments there, how far from Pine Gap? I'm pretty sure Pine Gap's in the Northern Territory there somewhere, so I'm thinking it's still probably a good distance away from
Yeah,
Pine Gap, so
definitely out of
nothing in relation
visual.
to
You
there.
would think. You'd definitely be out of visual.
So, but yeah, that's absolutely mind blowing. That is, that's it. Because it makes you wonder what are they doing out there? Like, people are seeing these things sort of hovering around, instigating the
Absolutely.
areas or investigating the areas or something like that. Something of interest that there to them, and like, why? What's
And
so
I guess,
interesting in these remote areas?
not that I've thought about it before, but I do remember there were a lot of we were involved in a lot of war games at the time, Um, I think we had Singapore and things like that, and we were doing war games with America, and I think we even did one with China that was worked through the top end and down into Central Australia. So it'd be interesting to find a timeline to see if there was actually anything going on out there at the time. But yeah, for me, there's nothing out there. It's just desolate.
Yeah, that's an interesting point because they always have been had some sort of relation with military activity. So whether it was something
Yeah,
out there in regards to that, that could be a
and look, I
case
mean,
for it.
there was no shortage of military vehicles moving in and around Lightning Ridge, that's for sure, especially past it up that highway.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I just got a comment here from Chris. He's asking, how do you feel that you've had so many experiences, and do you
I
think
feel,
you could be about of it always having these encounters?
um, look, I feel privileged, to be honest. Um, and the downside of it is not really a God complex, but the downside of it is not fitting in, I guess. Finding it hard to fit in. I don't think I've ever fitted in my life anywhere with my family, with my jobs, my occupation. I've got some good life friends. I could probably count them on one hand and leave a thumb. Um, but yeah, as for acquaintances and going out and socialising and things like that, that's probably the downside of it. Um, Almost like a feeling of knowing more than others, I think.
Yeah, it sort of does set you aside a bit, doesn't it? When you've seen something that's
It does.
unknown to us of
You,
our
you,
nature, and it's
you
sort of
question
yeah,
everything. You
you
question
do.
everything.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we get so cast out from society in regards to when people want to try and come forward with these experiences. That people want to start calling you crazy, on drugs, some sort of nutter that needs to be in a crack house or something,
Yeah,
in that regards. Like, but yet you can be completely sober and, you know,
yeah, and look, a
fresh
lot of
state of
times
mind, but still see these things.
I tried to prove the point by going too far. Putting myself through windscreens, hitting telegraph poles, you name it. And 98% of the time walking away without a scratch. A bit battered, a bit bruised. Getting taken out by a taxi at 80 kilometres an hour walking across the street.
Holy shit.
Um, Bounced off there, had a little scar on my hip from the Levi jeans. Um,
Wow.
and that's I guess that's all changed in the last 12 months because I had an incident happen where I was nearly killed at someone else's hands, not my own. And that's made me question quite a lot of things, I guess. And I guess has brought me to, I guess, not go to my grave with what I know.
Yeah. No, look, I appreciate that. It's, yeah, wonderful you coming forward with it all. And I think we've covered what, maybe 3 or 4 of, the 6 or 7 encounters you've had, so
Yeah,
we'll go to the
yeah.
next one in.
Yeah, the next one was at Lightning Ridge, prepping for my wedding. We're in the backyard of the house we had out at 3 Mile. I had a couple of friends over just organising what we had to do with the spit and everything else, and with alcohol and how we're going to keep it all cold, because that was a major thing out of Lightning Ridge, keeping anything cold. And we just had an orb, just come flying into the yard. If you caught it out of the corner of your eye, you'd swear it was a little bird fluttering past or something, but it was an orb that just come straight into the yard, over the fence, hung in between us for a good split second or so, and then just continued on its way. Um, the reflection that it gave off was not mirror-like. It was, how would you put it? Like Vaseline, I guess. Vaseline over the lens. It was like a soft orb. Wasn't like a hard mirror finish. And I had a couple of boys there that were Aboriginal, and they got up and bolted, mate. They literally got up and ran out of my yard, knocked their beer over, and bolted. They just looked at each other and bolted.
As you would. I think that's sort of like a situation where you're like going, "All right, I
Yeah,
don't know what to do here." You're either gonna fight or flight or, just
yeah. Well,
yeah, one of those ones.
the first reaction was like throw back in the seat and like, oh shit, that's a bird. And all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, that's not a bird. much noise. The fiance at the time, she came running out. She said, "What the hell's going on?" Because she seen the boys run out the driveway, and I said, "Look, we just had a visitor." That's about all I could say. Like, it's all right. Grab me a beer. All's good here. Nothing to see.
Oh wow, that's mind blowing. Like, do you think it might have been like a min, or do you think it's something completely like what time, like time
No,
of the day was this sort of happen?
about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:30 in the
Okay,
afternoon. Yeah,
so you
it's
can
broad
definitely
daylight.
put aside those atmospheric distortions around that time for sure.
Yeah, no, and the size of it, look, baseball,
Yeah, okay.
a bit larger than a tennis ball.
So do you sort of feel like it had its own consciousness in that regard, or is this some sort of weird?
Absolutely. It come into the, I mean, you imagine just sitting there, mind your own business, and say a Rosella or something at full speed just come flying past your peripheral vision.
Yeah,
That's the movement you got. But then all of a sudden it's in front of your face and you're sort of looking at it and you're like, it's not reflecting, it's not moving, it's not fluttering, and it certainly hasn't got a beak.
yeah.
And
So
it was almost like it just stopped, had a glance at us all, and then just went on its merry way.
yeah, because I was about to ask that. Like, do you sort of feel like it was sort of like observing you in that split
Absolutely.
second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely had that sense. Yeah.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder. Like, I have heard of people like seeing strange orbs and like they're coming through their house and sort of stuff. Like, do you think it's sort of like maybe like a spiritual thing, or do you think this could be like some sort of
I'm not.
yeah,
Look, I at the time I called it spiritual, and that was the only way I could sort of explain it. And yeah, there was a bit of turmoil going on, people dying and stuff in the family at the time. So yeah, we just sort of wrote it off as a, yeah, I guess a spiritual visit. But yeah, it certainly wasn't normal.
yeah, well, absolutely. So obviously, you would have kept watching this. Like, did things sort of like disappear, or did it sort of like go behind something and disappear?
It
Or
never changed its hiding trajectory. It come in over the fence on the right hand side and just hung in between us for a split second or so. I had a sense it revolved, but wasn't spinning, and then just shot off straight over the fence and gone. We watched it. It was almost, because it's not smooth ground out of Lightning Ridge, so we watched the trajectory bounce almost, but then you could notice that it was following the contour of the ground and the mining shafts and everything else that was there and the washouts. It was picture a hovercraft, 8 feet off the ground.
yeah,
It just followed the surface, but was nowhere near it. Yeah, but yeah, the
that's
Curry boys. That
incredible.
was that was funny. The Curry boys just, mate, they turned white. Just
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, look, honestly, it's one of those situations where you wouldn't even know what to do. Like, yeah, like I said, fight or flight, or just like freeze in fear. And it's something that's incredible. And
It
it's
left.
like,
It left.
what do you do with it?
I can definitely say it left you with a sense of energy. It was almost a sense of elation after it left. It was a positive energy.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's what I was going to ask you the next question. Actually, well, how are you all feeling after it? Like,
Yeah, to
what was
myself
the
it was.
energy of the whole crew like?
Yeah, myself it was positive. My mate Harry, he didn't really want to talk about it too much. But the two Curry boys, their reaction was just gold. Like, it was, you'd want to do a comedy skit, it was that funny. Like, they left dust.
Oh wow, that's awesome. That's cool. Like,
Yeah.
what did the wife at the time sort of think when you try to explain to her?
Um, she's had her own experiences. Certain things appearing and stuff over the years. Uh, but yeah, she didn't mind. She didn't mind. I think she wrote it off as maybe a visit from her mother at the time, from memory. 'Cause she
Yep,
was just
fair
about to
enough.
get married and she didn't have a mum there, and yeah. But yeah, it's definitely a positive. It was a positive thing. didn't feel negative in any way.
Yeah, no, that's all right. No, that's wonderful. That's yeah, it's really good. As long as like, yeah, I suppose it wasn't anything negative on that nature, and it's sort of felt there could have been a more positive meaning to the
Yeah.
whole thing. That's probably the best thing to come from it.
And I think, if anything, overall, the experiences have given me a sense of why am I here? Why do I experience that? Why have I seen that? And that's been very prevalent in the last 12 months with what's happened. I've seen a counsellor and got a psychiatrist, and we've spoken about it at length. Because there's just been so many instances where I just should not be here in any way, shape, or form. But I'm still here breathing, still here in one piece. Which sort of leads us to probably the last recent experience. It was about 12 months ago. I was just riding home from work. Lovely day, glorious day. Got off work about 15 minutes early, and was riding on the motorway, and passed a car that was on an on-ramp. Long story short, I went to the back of the traffic that was blocked up on the M1 at the time. But something triggered me. Something was wrong with that car, or what was going on in the car. Sometimes you get a sense of conflict, like if there's a fight about to happen in a room, you sort of get that sense of something wrong. So instead of filtering into the traffic like I normally would, I stopped at the back of the traffic and looked in the mirror to watch this car grow quite quickly and quite large in my mirror. And then I realised that he was coming quite quick and coming on a bit of an angle from behind me. So I just sort of remember just relaxing and thinking, oh shit, pardon the language, I'm fucking dead here. This is all over. And that's when I could only describe it as a warm glow. It's just a warm glow that just enveloped me. I had a sense of well-being, had a sense of warmth, had a sense of being protected. So that car hit me at 60 or 70 kilometres an hour, sent me up in the air, connected another car, took that out, and then landed back on the motorway, which the driver proceeded to change direction and run over the top of me. Front and back wheels, didn't miss me.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So I'm crackhead proof. If anyone that's watching wants to try, good luck.
I was going to make the remark earlier there when you said you got hit by the taxi. Like you built like a brick shit house, or you just got some sort of guardian angel here or something. What's going on?
Mate, look, apart from having a very high pain tolerance, which I've had since I was a young fella, and a very weird sense of healing. That by right should have broke every bone in my body, let alone probably should have killed me outright. There's, no question. I had a piece of metal pass through the inside of my jeans and my inner thigh that punched an inch hole in the petrol tank of the motorbike. So, and didn't leave a mark on me. I got up
Wow.
and I got up and tried to straighten the bike out and tried to chase him.
As you would.
The police officer, after watching the footage, said, "You're very acrobatic and very determined."
Oh, jeez, I'm not sure if that's a
Um,
compliment or.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I had not afraid to mention it. I had the fire captain from Slacks Creek, elderly gentleman, well past retirement age, but they keep him on because he's brilliant and he's great moral support for his crew. And that man rubbed me for about 45 minutes with tears in his eyes because he just couldn't understand how I was still here, let alone standing there looking at him. He said the only reason he was sent to the scene was for moral support for his crew because they were told how bad it was.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, and like I said, it was just a sense of just yellow, warm glow, just a sense of warmth, and that dissipated, I guess, after the back wheel ran over me and left. So yeah, that was interesting. Got transported to hospital under duress. Was released the next day. No broken bones, no major physical injuries. Bit of a crush injury to my feet and my legs, and that was it. That's where things changed for me. Had a big soul search, trying to once again work out why I'm still here, which has led to a lot of soul searching. Um, definitely, definitely made me question everything, everything about me. Why I'm here? Why am I surviving these things? Why am I walking away without injuries? Why do I heal so weirdly? I heal um, for instance, I'm not saying I'm Superman. I'm not saying I don't get injuries. I reached out and did something silly, and I got a couple of tears in my shoulder um, previous to this accident. And then during that accident, of course, during the process, I've torn my shoulder a fair bit more and had to have surgery for that. So, I'm not saying I'm bulletproof. I'm not saying Superman or anything stupid like that. Um, but even the surgery, I had the check up with the surgeon some 4 weeks, 5 weeks later, and his words after the examination were, "That's bloody weird." And that was the last words I heard before he left and left me with that. So it took me about 3 months to catch up with him again because he just turned around and walked out shaking his head. And I caught up with him at a later appointment and questioned him on it. And he said, no, he said, mate, he said, it's just miraculous. He said, mate, there's just no way possible you can be that many months in advance of healing after the surgery I did. He said, that surgery is normally a 45-minute keyhole surgery, and I spent 5 hours and 45 minutes on you. And he said, there's just no way you should be as healed and as quick as you are. And I've had previous, motorbike accidents and stuff like that. I'd go to work a couple of days after, getting taken out, and my tibia and fibula would sink through my heel, and I'd have that little baby doll joint every step. No pain or anything, and that's healed. Got no surgery on that. Crushed the dice, the little square bone in the middle of your ankle, crushed that. But no issue with movement, no pain, nothing, nothing.
Wow.
So yeah.
I've got to ask though, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people here be quite concerned. Like, how'd the bike turn out after the accident?
Total wreck, mate. It was,
Oh, bugger.
yeah, the back of the bike was at a 90-degree angle to the rest of it.
Oh,
Yeah, the subframe had, like I said, ripped through my jeans and the inside of my thigh. It was a wreck.
yeah.
That was when I managed to jump back on it, because the footage shows me running up to the bike, and it's a 954 Honda, so it's not a light bike, but apparently I just ripped it up onto its wheel. Jumped to the back of the bike, ripped the whole back of the bike back down so it was at some sort of shape that I could get back on it, hopped back on it. It was then I noticed all the fuel just pouring out of the hole. I'm like, oh, this may not be catching up with him.
Damn.
So yeah, he's facing trial, and yeah, he's looking at about 14 years for criminal use of a motor vehicle with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. So,
With intent. So what was? Oh, I don't mean to pry. Like, what was like
no,
the reason for it? Like what was the whole
I'm
situation on his behalf?
look. My suspicion is that they were on ice, and well, that's not a suspicion. They were on ice, but basically, I think he was having a bit of a breakdown in the car with his girlfriend at the time, and from what I can gather, he's tried to prove a point to her to basically show her how hard he is by taking out, someone random on the motorway. There no involvement with the vehicle. If anything, there was a bit of concern because I was a bit concerned about why the car was stopped in the middle of an on-ramp on the motorway. So yeah, from what we can gather from the police and from what we know, he just lost his shit and tried to take someone out. But in saying that, the car he was in only made it a kilometre and a half up the road. It blew up because of the damage to the motor and the front end. And the lovely piece of work jumped out of the car, ran away, and left his pregnant girlfriend in the car to take the road.
Oh.
Way to go!
Yeah, what a hero he is. Jeez, bloody hell.
Yeah. So yeah, here I am. Well, nearly coming up to just on 12 months now since the incident. And yeah, here I am speaking to you about what's happened in my lifetime, and just wanted to basically let it be known that it's okay. You can talk about it.
Yeah, no, look, mate, look, I appreciate it, and I think everyone else does too, mate. Like, just talking about this, like, obviously, it's a strange thing in itself, but something there is getting you through these things, like whatever call it, spiritual or guardian
Yeah.
angel or something. There, like, there's something that's
Well,
going on.
let's hope it's a guardian angel. I've always, and it's been a bit of a saying that's been carried with me. Heaven doesn't want me, and hell's afraid I'll take over. So I think I'm stuck. I think I'm stuck here.
That's the awesome way to look at it. I love that.
It is, and look, there is one final incident that I do want to talk to you about, and that was a contact. There's no question in my mind. But I'd like to talk to you about that maybe some other time.
That's all right. Yeah, that's fine. If you're not ready for it, mate, absolutely. Like, I'm sure the people love to get you back on the show, and yeah, definitely talk about it. That's
Yeah,
no
look,
worries at all.
without going into too much detail, as I come out of the hospital after surgery for the shoulder, the plan was for me to be driven home to my place, which is where I wanted to be to heal. And being a bit drugged and coming out of the hospital, my sneaky mother snuck me to my sister's place, and I was basically cocooned in the bottom bedroom in my sister's house, and that's where I had a little visit, let's say.
Yeah, fair
And
enough.
without going into it, yeah, it was almost like I wasn't where I was supposed to be, and I was being checked up on.
Hmm.
So,
Interesting. Okay, I'm sort of think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
yeah, yeah, it was almost like it's okay, relax, it's all right, but what are you doing here? Like
Yeah. Yep.
you're meant to be there, and yeah, and that was like I said, that was a couple of days after the surgery, and then a few weeks later, I've got my surgeon shaking his head, just looking at me, going, "That's weird," and walking out on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and like I said, a lot of things have changed in the last 12 months. I've never been a one to dream, but I've also been one to, I guess, suppress a lot of things with alcohol and, probably marijuana and a couple other things here and there. And in the last 12 months, just for nothing else, then I just got really sick with the flu, stopped drinking, and started to get my dreams back and these memories starting to come back, and that's, I guess that's where I've been able to gather everything together and say, wow, I need to talk to someone and let someone know what's happened. And I've got to be honest, the last thing I expected was to be on your podcast or anything like that. I thought we were just going to have a bit of a chat over the phone. And it was, I'm done. Thanks for that. Thanks. You can deal with that, and I'm done now. But yeah, it's been a privilege because I've listened to quite a few of your shows, and I guess that's one of the behaviours of definitely got is if I need to drive a long distance, it's night time. I can't do it during the day. It's a sense of I have to be at 9 hours away, and I'll leave at the PM, and I'll drive through the night. And I've done that since I was old enough to have a license, which leads to, I guess, unaccounted time and a lot of questions from the family as to where the hell have you been and why the hell does it take you that long to get to here, and you've done it all your life. What are you doing? So we've got a little bit more to talk about. But I think we've covered enough for tonight.
Yeah, no, that's all right, mate. Because I've got like a heap of questions I was wanting to go and bring up with you there. But if you,
Go for
yeah,
it.
if you want to call,
You go for it. I'm right for your questions. Go for it.
yeah, right. Because Chris has mentioned in the comments here, like with regards to like all your experiences there and like your recovery and that, like he reckons like your jobs on the planet aren't done yet. Like you've got a lot more things to go and cover before it's your time, by the sounds of it. And which I sort of agree on
Yeah,
too. It's one of those things like you've got a purpose here for whatever reasons, and
yeah.
you
And look,
just
I
haven't
mean,
finished.
the only anyone that knows me and my background look at my children and go, "What the hell happened there?" So I just the only answer I can come up with is that I've been privileged to raise some with the help of my ex-wife some fantastic humans. That's the only thing I can have solace in is the reason why I'm here. Because honestly, if there's another reason why I'm here, I'd love for someone to tell me. It pains me every day. It really does.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's
yeah.
yeah, absolutely amazing, mate. There's something going on there. I've got Michelle here asking, what did they look like? I guess with the when you had this encounter, without going too much into detail, is this the paranormal experience that you mentioned, or is this a
Yeah,
different one?
this was the recent experience. I guess she's mentioning. Yeah, look, it's cliche. It's so cliche. It's not funny. Um, I guess the common, the common name that they've been given over millennia is the Greys. Yeah, that's
That's all right.
the
That's all right. We'll
picture.
leave that for the next time. See, yeah, you didn't want
Yeah,
to go into too much detail about, it, but that's all right. No, I think it's to sort of give a bit of a mystery to what this is now. I think everyone's gonna be
mm,
all hanging on the edge of their seats for this one, so that's all
yeah,
right.
and look, to put it into perspective, I've road raced motorbikes, I've raced overseas, I've jumped on racing sidecars, I've done some absolutely crazy stuff in vehicles and on motorbikes, and things that would probably scare most people to half to death. But I'll be honest with you, at 52 years of age, I've never been so scared in all my life as 2 nights after the surgery. That
Yeah.
yeah, that let's just say I'm glad there's no cameras in that spare room, because if my reactions were physical as they were mental, um, yeah, there would be some giggling. Um, yeah,
Oh wow. Because
yeah.
that's sort of like, now that you mentioned, like it's obviously something of a ET nature though. So like one of the biggest questions I'm gonna ask, like you did mention that your family's had history in the past there, seeing strange things and whatnot. But have they mentioned anything in regards to like having their own like physical encounters in that regard?
No, no. The only one, I guess, would be my stepdad, my Italian stepdad. He had some encounters when he was younger. He was a rigger, worked on things like the Snowy River Scheme and Sydney Opera House, stuff like that. So very Catholic, very religious. So yeah, we've spoken about a couple of things that's happened to him when he was younger, and to get him to open up and talk about anything is pretty hard. But to have him open up and speak about those things that happened to him were pretty cool. They
Do you
were
feel it
pretty
sort of made
cool.
him question his religion?
Um, I think it enforced it.
Enforced it?
To be
Oh
honest,
wow.
still very
Okay.
still very Catholic.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah,
that's different. Like usually when someone sees something, that's you know
yeah.
unnatural to them, they immediately think, well, for me personally, I'll start questioning my faith and
Well, I
my
think
beliefs.
My personal opinion is it was the only way he could reason with it in his mind.
Yeah,
The
that's
only
fair
way,
enough. That's yeah.
only way he could explain it to himself.
Yeah, no, that actually kind of makes sense there when you look at that perspective. But there's also questions too, like where people have sort of raised the theories of like these things are religious in nature as well. They
Well,
put it,
yeah, I mean,
they,
and you've got a question, is religion the cover story?
yeah, exactly.
You
The base
Um,
of the whole story.
yeah, I mean, like we can go into some of the Indigenous Dreamtime and stuff like that, and I've spoken to some Indigenous elders, and they've and these are older elders, in their very older age, and their confession on Dreamtime is that that's what they were taught. That's what they were taught to tell people by another culture to hide what they were doing here. Um, so yeah, I mean, we could talk for hours. uh,
It's not hard to do when it comes to this topic. You can just go for
yeah,
so long, and it's like, oh, geez, it's
yeah,
absolutely
and look,
incredible.
like I said, it's been a privilege, and apologies to everyone. I haven't brushed my hair. I wasn't really expecting video call.
No, look, mate, look, it's absolutely fabulous, mate. But if anyone else has got some questions there, like I think we'll finish up for tonight. So if anyone in the comment who's watching this show here, got any questions, quickly get them in there before we finish up. But one of the questions that's what I was like, I think you mentioned that you like might have experienced some missing time.
Yeah, with my travels, like I used to do sort of every week from Lightning Ridge to Brisbane, and every month or every 6 to 9 weeks from Queensland to New South Wales. Yeah, it's a set kilometre drive. It's a set route, and yeah, it'll go from a 9 hours to 12, 14, 15. The longest I've had is a 19-hour trip, which should have taken me 9.
Yeah, wow. So it makes you wonder. But I think we'll leave that for the next one, mate. Sort of try and get a bit more coverage on these missing times and what you sort of got on there. But mate,
Yeah,
look, mate, absolutely wonderful having you on, mate. It's been an absolute ripper of a story, and it's like leaving so many questions and like
and
what
look,
is going on in your life.
it's quite funny when we sort of earlier, like in the early stage of organising this, we had another date set, and I tell you, when that date arrived, the sense of dread I had of talking to you was overwhelming. Um, so I've had a good talk with myself since then. So it's like I said, it's been good, and it's okay. It's all right if you had experiences. Talk about it. Hell, worst case, your great grandkids might hear it and get a bit of a giggle. So, but yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely wonderful, mate. Because that's what like I love having people like yourself come on the show here and helping encourage other people to go and talk about their experiences. There, like because like I keep saying all the time on through episodes, these
Well,
things are happening. It's a reality. There's no point hiding it. And people in the past there who have opened
exactly.
up
And
about
look, I
this,
mean,
they're not gaining anything from it except for telling the truth.
and look, there's no question we've got a lot more media. There's a lot more contact. The world's smaller now, so yeah, there's probably a lot more reporting going on at the moment. But I have a sense that the the majority of the visits were earlier, you know, and I have this reasoning of doing the same thing over and expecting a different result is the definition of being crazy. So why would they keep visiting, doing the same thing over and over again? Like we don't have
Exactly.
the mutilated animals much anymore, all that sort of thing. It's all sort of died away. And my sense is that there's definitely different cultures, different visitors out there, and they all had their own little experiments or whatever to do, little projects that they have to complete. And now we're having these new, I guess, generation of sightings with these tic tac things and underwater and stuff like that. I mean, you'd have to be a fool to think that we're the only intelligent living species in these universes. And you think about our universe and then times that by a billion, and we're the only living species that thinks and has a conscience. Please.
Yeah, gotta be pretty ignorant, eh?
Yeah,
It's just yeah.
yeah,
There's something wrong with it if you can't think there's something more to this whole universe.
absolutely. There's just no question. And yeah, like I said, you've caught me by surprise. I would have put a good shirt on. But
Mate,
yeah,
you look
it's been
fantastic. I wouldn't worry about
been
it.
well. I've got me Clooney stripe, so we're good.
You've done well, mate. That's awesome. But I do have one quick question here from Jane, which is a really interesting question, which would have been one of the ones I would have brought up in the next episode. But quickly,
Yeah,
have you maybe looked into hypnosis for the missing time?
that has come into question in the last few months. Um, I guess the only reason I'm not rushing into that side of things is because if you're not meant to know, maybe there's a good reason why you're not meant to know.
Yeah, that's fair enough too.
And the other thing is the dreams, the dreams and I wouldn't say visions because you need to be awake, but they're extensive. They've been quite extensive since this incident with this crackhead. So yeah, it's almost like I don't have to. It's almost like I need to know what I know, and yeah, there may be some other stuff I may not want to know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's definitely one way of looking at it because yeah, it's obviously something that yeah, like you could even like change your whole perspective on the whole thing again, and then you come out of it
Absolutely,
worse off in the end of it. It's one of those
Ab-
things.
absolutely. I mean, yeah. I mean, and we have a subconscious and we have a conscious, and our brain has this marvelous magic ability to protect us,
Yeah.
and that's shown through lots of things over different ways.
Yeah. Look, mate, it's absolutely amazing. Like going through all your experiences there, mate, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I can't thank you enough for coming out and opening up about this, mate, and like going through your whole life experiences there, like with everything that's gone on in your past there, mate. Like it's like you're saying, like well, it sounds like you should have been dead a long time ago, but yet here
Yeah,
you are,
and
and it's just it's
well, we've only
absolutely
touched the
incredible.
iceberg. Seriously. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, it's been a hoot.
Yeah, mate, absolutely fantastic. Look, mate, thank you again. I'll get in touch with you soon, mate, and we'll definitely get you back on, mate, because I think people would love to go and hear the rest of your story, what's happened, and
No,
keep
it's
going
been
with
a
it, mate.
pleasure.
It'd be great.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, mate. Thank you very much, mate. All
Peace
the
out.
best, and I'll talk to you soon, mate.
See
Righto,
you.
hold there, mate, and I'll get back to you in a second. I was just going to do a little bit of an outro here and thank everyone, and I'll get back to you. Righto, mate. Oh wow, that was incredible, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show there, and yeah, that was absolutely fantastic and absolutely mind blowing. Yeah, good guys. Thanks for coming in again tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Get in the comments there. Thanks to Jane, M, Michelle, Chris, Nick, and who else we got up here? I think there's some Wayne's jumped in there too with some weird comments there with regards to some UFO in Melbourne. I'll go and check it out when I can there, Wayne. Um, yeah, guys, thanks again for coming in the show. It's absolutely fantastic having you here, joining me and asking questions and getting involved in it. I absolutely love this. But yeah, yeah, what can I say? I can't thank you enough, and it's just absolutely big thank you to the Mick coming on the show. It was great. But yeah, guys, if you guys have had an experience yourself or know someone who has an experience there, be sure to get in contact with me through the Facebook Messenger there, or hit me up on the emails there at Australian UFO sightings at outlook.com.au. Get in touch there, and we'll try and organise a time to get you on the show. Um, yeah, support the show. If you want to lose myself here now. If you want to support the show, there, guys, you can get some merchandise from us. Like get some awesome little t-shirts there and some stickers and whatever is on the online store. There should be a link at the top of the comments section here from where you're watching from. There'll be a link there to go to the online store and grab yourself some awesome gear there. Just to go. I don't make any profits from it. It's just yeah, whatever you guys want to support the show. That basically that's all it is. Just to go and say, hey, look, I support these guys because they're awesome. Because yeah, I'm awesome. Yay! But yeah, anyway, guys, I think I'm going to shut up. There's not much more else that I can do. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that little bell notification there, or even join the YouTube channel and hit that notification to get notified when we are going live or any new episodes and whatnot. And I think that's about pretty much all I can really cover for now. But yeah, I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks, guys. I've got to go back to work this week, and I'll probably see you in a couple of weeks there for another live episode. Just keep an eye on the Facebook page there. That's where I put all my feed up for when the next episode is going to be on. So just make sure you join in on that. And yeah, I think that'll do me for tonight, guys. I'm going to leave you to it. Lovies and leavies, and I'll see you in the next live stream. All right, guys. Catch you later. All right.